The HOA speed radar flashes 38 in a 20 as a silver crossover schemes the curb. A backpack spins like a tossed satellite, and a stainless water bottle rockets into my hedges with a metallic crash. Brakes screech like something dying. Someone is shouting. A woman in a floral visor leans out her window, her face twisted in what I can only describe as preemptive defensiveness, and says the line that lights the fuse. "He was walking recklessly," she announces, her voice dripping with accusation, like she's reading from a script she's been rehearsing. My son is sitting up on the ground, stunned but conscious, one hand clutching his wrist, the other pressed against his hip. There's a black streak of tire on the white paint of our curb, like a signature left by someone who didn't want to be anonymous but couldn't help themselves. I'm Marcus Hale, quiet, spreadsheet friendly, the guy who miz in straight lines and waves like a metronome at every passing car. We moved to Maple Quarry for cul-de-sac naps and porch lemonade, not roadside physics experiments involving my 9-year-old. The HOA president, Tricia Beaumont, has a whistle on a lanyard and a belief system that positions her, Lexus, as an emergency vehicle responding to the crisis of her own importance. She runs the board like an airport runway, complete with temporary detours to her friend's driveway, because apparently some driveways are more equal than others. My son Theo walks the same route from the bus stop every single day, along the sidewalk, across the painted crosswalk, to our mailbox, where our golden retriever, Charlie, usually meets him with a tail that could power a small wind farm. That's the scene she calls reckless. That precise, predictable 9-year-old routine. Tricia doesn't just deny fault. She deploys the HOA Playbook Deluxe, and I mean every page. First, she files a community incident report accusing Theo of darting with intent. He was carrying a recorder and a bag of dinosaur flashcards. The intent was to get home and practice hot cross buns before dinner. Then she sends a mass email titled "Child Safety Reminders" in all capital letters, which reads like an opt about how children should walk like chess pieces, slow and predictable, preferably in single file with reflective tape and a safety escort. She parks her HOA golf cart at the corner every afternoon and starts filming parents who don't retrieve minors within 45 seconds of bus arrival, holding up her phone like she's gathering evidence for a federal case. She scolds my wife for chalk art that distracts drivers. The chalk art says, "Slow down," in big pink letters with a smiley face. My wife used washable Crayola. Tricia calls it vandalism. Then she posts a photo of the scuffed curb to Nextdoor with the caption, "Proof kids are entering the roadway." It's a curb. The roadway is literally past it. That's how curbs work. Neighbors split down the middle, like we're choosing sides for dodgeball. Some clutch pearls and whisper about children these days, with their dinosaur flashcards and their reckless walking. Others bring casseroles and apologetic smiles, knocking softly like they're visiting a funeral home. I take Theo to urgent care, where they diagnose a sprained wrist, bruised hip, and a scary adrenaline dump that makes him shake for an hour straight. The doctor, a kind woman with rainbow scrubs, asks Theo what happened. He says, "I looked both ways like Dad taught me." She writes that down. Then I file a police report. The officer, a young guy with a notebook that's seen better days, takes photos of the tire mark, measures the distance from the crosswalk, and asks if there were any witnesses. I mentioned the delivery driver who was at the stop sign behind Trisha. The officer nods and writes that down, too. Trisha shows up on my porch that evening with a clipboard and a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Doesn't even reach her cheekbones, really. "We can keep this in-house," she says, her voice smooth like she's offering me a favor wrapped in silk. "No need to involve outside authorities when we have a perfectly functional HOA dispute resolution process." I look at her clipboard. There's a form titled Mutual Release of Claims. I look at her face. She's already filled in my name. I shut the door very, very gently. The kind of gentle that makes a point. At the HOA meeting in the clubhouse, which smells like burnt coffee and disappointment, Trisha produces a map with arrows suggesting Theo broke the traffic flow. She's laminated it. There are red circles and highlighter marks. She's prepared a presentation. I produced 3 things, and I don't need a projector. First, doorbell video showing Theo stopping at the crosswalk, looking both ways like a tiny human who actually learned the safety lessons, stepping out with a walk signal blinking white. Second, a delivery driver's dash cam that sees Trisha's Lexus roll the stop sign while she's on speakerphone, cup in hand, eyes somewhere else entirely, probably on another HOA emergency, like unauthorized mailbox colors. Third, the HOAS owns speed sign logs, public record for their bylaw. The catcher played exceeding 30 in a 20 zone 5 times this month alone. When the officer attending as a courtesy presence sees the videos, his posture changes. It stops being courtesy. He asks Trisha to step outside. She tells him, her voice rising with indignation, that she's the president and authorized to adjudicate neighborhood matters. He says calmly, with the patience of someone who's heard this before, "Ma'am, that's not a thing." She tries the nuclear option, her face flushed red like a thermometer in August, and claims I edited the footage. "Digital manipulation," she says, using a term she clearly just learned from a crime show. The delivery driver, who's still there eating a brownie from the refreshment table and clearly enjoying the show, raises his hand like he's in middle school and says cheerfully, "Happy to airdrop the original file, officer, unedited, straight from my company dash cam with the timestamp and everything." The room goes silent, except for the hum of the overhead lights and someone's nervous cough. By Monday, the police refer the case to the city prosecutor for failure to yield and reckless driving, endangering a minor. Trisha's insurance company suddenly finds my number. They call 3 times in one day. The city traffic engineer, looped in by the prosecutor, visits Maple Quarry with a measuring wheel and a very serious expression. He notes a buffet of violations, faded crosswalk that looks more like a suggestion than a legal marking, missing signage, HOA installed planters narrowing sightlines to beautify the corner. "Beautification over safety," he mutters, taking photos. The HOAS attorney suggests cooperation in a carefully worded letter that arrives via certified mail. Trisha sends another email insisting she appealed to the county roads czar. "There is no czar," someone replies, all with a link to the county organizational chart. Trisha doesn't respond. The board, sensing the iceberg ahead and remembering what happened to the Titanic, calls an emergency session. They strip Trisha of unilateral communication privileges, which means she can't send mass emails without board approval. They appoint a safety committee led by the dad who teaches physics at the high school and owns 3 fluorescent vests. which he wears unironically and with pride. Court day arrives like a scheduled storm you've been watching on the radar for weeks. It's a tidy municipal room with a flag, a seal on the wall, and a humidifier that sounds like a polite ghost trying to make its presence known. The judge is a woman in her 60s, with reading glasses on a chain and an expression that suggests she's heard every excuse ever invented. She watches the videos twice, leaning forward the second time, her fingers steepled under her chin. Then she asks Trisha why she rolled the stop sign. Trisha says, her voice defensive and climbing in pitch, that she was monitoring child behavior. They dart, she adds, like this, explains physics and liability. The judge pauses, looks at her over those reading glasses, and says, flatly, from behind a steering wheel going 38 miles per hour. The courtroom is so quiet you could hear a parking ticket drop. The fines stack up like parking tickets on a windshield. Actually, license suspended for 90 days. Mandatory defensive driving course, the kind where they show videos of crashes and make you feel things. Community service, 200 hours. As a crossing guard, supervised by the same traffic engineer she insulted in an email, where she called him a bureaucrat with a tape measure and a clipboard fetish. The judge reads that email aloud. Trisha's attorney closes his eyes. Civilly, her insurance company settles fast and fat. Medical bills, damages, plus an earmarked donation to Maple Quarry Elementary for a new flashing crosswalk and a permanent radar sign that reads, "Your speed be nice." The cherry on top comes when the HOA's insurance carrier hikes premiums 30%, citing leadership risk, and the board publishes the minutes for all residents to see. It's sent via email with a subject line that just says, "Board actions recent incident." The judge sets down her gavel and adds one more thing, looking directly at Trisha. The board, she notes, has formally censured Trisha and removed her presidency, effective immediately. She's barred from driving within HOA property for 1 year. "You'll be walking, Ms. Beaumont," the judge says carefully, one hopes. Trisha's face goes white, then red, then a mottled combination of both, like a sunset gone wrong. Her mouth opens and closes like a fish pulled from water and shown a credit card bill. She tries to speak, but no words come out, just a small sound, like air leaving a tire. The community service requirement alone is $200. The fines total over $5,000. Her attorney touches her arm and whispers something that makes her sit back down, hard in her chair, like someone cut her.